Hello students and welcome to chapter number 9. In this chapter we will be discussing the process of strategic planning and what challenges do organizations face whenever they are planning for their future survival. So we will be discussing a number of different strategies that organizations could follow, and we would also discuss how can organizations survive and based on what do they choose their competitive strategies. Okay, so we begin with a formal definition of strategic management. And in fact, all of you from different majors are going to have to study a complete course towards the end of your journey here at JUC called strategic management. So what is strategic management? We have seen the definition of management before, right? This is principles of management course. So we have seen that management is getting things done through people, the functions of managers, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So how do we do all of this in a strategic way? Every time you hear the word strategic or strategy, I want you to think of something a little bit more long term, something a bit more big picture, and always think of the word how. So how are we going to achieve all of this? This is what strategies are all about. So strategic management is how do we manage, how do we get things done in terms of what plans are we going to devise, in terms of what is our business going to do to make money, in terms of how can we compete with others in the market, in terms of how can we attract and satisfy our customers. So it's all about, you see the common denominator here is how. So strategies are all about how things are done, okay? Because you have so many options available to you on how to attract customers, for example, or on how to make money in your organization, okay? So this is why strategic management, strategic planning is a kind of a complex process because the options available to you are plenty. But each and every one of those options have, pros and cons. Each one of them can yield different results. So how can you measure those results? How can you anticipate them? Okay, so this is the challenge of strategic management. So strategic management is what managers do to develop their strategies within their organizations. What's a strategy? It's how things are done. Okay, how the plan is going, how the business is going to make money, how are we going to compete with competitors in the industry, and so on. You will also study another course, inshallah, called Project Feasibility Analysis or Entrepreneurship. In there, you will study a lot about your business model. Okay, so you will always hear that if you are interested in starting up your own business, the first question you will be asked is, what is your business model? What do we mean by business model? Is basically how are you going to make money. هتفتح فود تراك، هتفتح كوفي شوب، هتفتح شركة استشارات، شركة تدريب، كيف راح تطلع فلوس؟ Based on what? What is the service that you are offering, or what is the product that you are selling? And then how are you going to sell that product? How are you going to price it? Okay? كيف راح تسعره؟ كيف راح تسوقه؟ كيف راح تسوي كل الأمور هذه اللي لها علاقة ب generating money for your business. Okay, so now let's shift gears a little to talk about why is strategic management important? Meaning, why do we have to study it? Why do we have to, make managers know about strategies and strategic planning? One of the reasons is that strategic management has a positive impact on performance. لما نرجع لمعنى أصلا strategic management, it's all about the how, right? So how are we going to make money? How are we going to remain competitive in the market? So of course, planning ahead and managing things in that way is definitely going to impact performance positively. Okay, when we make that decision and make those calculations about how are we going to increase our profits or decrease our losses, how are we going to offer something that is unique from our competitors. Okay, this is definitely going to have some positive impact and influence on the performance of our organization. Strategic planning helps managers decide how to act in face of change and uncertainty. We have studied about uncertainty before. We know that uncertainty is something that we do not like, and everything we do from planning and leading and organizing and controlling is to minimize the impact of uncertainty. ما نبغى نكون في الظلام كذا. We don't want to be in the dark. So uh, all the decisions that we make, we are trying our best to decrease uncertainty. So when you plan ahead and when you manage things in this way, when you encompass all of the different aspects of the business in your plan, then definitely you are going to minimize the impact of change and uncertainty in your organization. Strategic management also helps complex and diverse organizations work together. There are organizations that are huge. تكلم على شركات زي أرامكو، تكلم على شركات زي بيبسي، تكلم على شركات زي 3M الأمريكية. These are huge organizations, okay? And they are diverse. Diverse not only in terms of the people that work for it, but also diverse in terms of the industries in which they are in. شركة 3M مثلا تسوي كل حاجة، من الأشياء المعدات الطبية إلى الشغلات اللي لها علاقة بالطيارات، إلى حتى تعرفون مثلا تظليل السيارات. So it's a huge organization. It's a powerhouse investor that has basically hands all over the world. So when you institute strategic management in an organization such as 3M or such as Saudi Aramco or such as one of those bigger companies, of course you can create and pave the way for these organizations to work together. So سابق مثلا عندها شركات تابعة كثيرة، في سابق الأم، في حديد، في ابن سينا، ابن رشد، مش عارف مين. So how can these are all operating under the umbrella of one organization, but how can they work together? Through the tool and the help of strategic management. So to sum up, strategic management is a very important process. All managers must have some skills when it comes to thinking strategically and acting and planning in a way so that they calculate the risks and ensure that everything is being considered. And now let's dig deeper into the strategic management process. So in here we are going to start talking about how strategic management is implemented. How is it done in organizations? So that's kind of a model for this process. You start with identifying your organization's mission, goals, and strategies, and then you move all the way to evaluation. So in the next coming slides, we will be discussing each and every one of those steps. All right, so to begin with, we have to identify the organization's current mission, goals, and strategies. The first thing you need to do whenever you are involved in this process of strategic management, whenever you're doing things on a strategic level, you have to understand your own organization first. You have to understand the history of the company. You have to understand what is the philosophy of the organization. You have to understand what is the goals of your company so that you can select a strategy at the end that is suitable to your organization. يعني ما تقدر تختار زي في فرق كرة القدم. كيف انت تختار خطة للدفاع او للهجوم اذا انت ما تعرف امكانات اللاعبين اللي عندك، اذا انت ما تعرف يعني قدراتهم، اذا انت ما تعرف كيف طريقة اللعب، ايش الفلسفة حقت اللعب في الفريق هذا. So you have to first of all look at your own organization, look at the history, look at the what is your mission statement. تعرفون في كل شركة في mission, vision, goals, principles, values, and things like this. So go back and review those things. Whenever you are doing things on a strategic level, if you really want to be successful, everything circles back to your company's mission, vision, philosophies, values, and so on. كل حاجة تصير في الشركة، سياسات التوظيف، طرق يعني الاستثمار، كلها لازم يكون لها علاقة بالرؤية والهدف والرسالة حقت الشركة. Otherwise, it means that, so what is the purpose of, coming up with these statements? Why did we come up with a mission and vision statement if we are not going to use it as a basis for our decisions? Okay, so you have probably seen the distinction between, mission and vision in other courses. So a company's mission is the purpose of the organization. Why does this organization exist? هدفها الأساسي. Okay, مهمتها الأساسية. ليش الشركة هذه أصلا أنشئت؟ Okay, so what I would like you to do, I would like you to go online and search for mission statements of different organizations. ابحث عن الميشن ستيتمنت لشركات مختلفة سواء داخل السعودية أو خارج السعودية. أبغاكم تقروها كذا تاخذون فكرة كيف تكتب الميشن ستيتمنتس هذه، إيش العناصر اللي موجودة في الميشن ستيتمنت. Okay, so this is tip number 1. We have to identify and examine our mission, our goals, and our strategies. So the mission is, why does the organization exist? What does it do in basic terms? So this nice table tells us what should we include in a mission statement. إذا طلب منك إنه أنت تكتب أو تحلل mission statement of any organization, so you have to consider these components. You have to have, some mentioning about the customers. You have to have something about the philosophy of the organization, technologies, employees, and so on. This is why I would like you to do what I asked you to do in the previous slide. I would like you to go online and search for various mission statements and see whether these components are available, whether all of them or at least some of them. So the mission statement of Pepsi, for example, شركة Pepsi تقول إنه our mission is to provide affordable and delicious products for our customers around the world. So they talk about customers, they talk about like what products and services they are offering, they are talking about their philosophy, something affordable and delicious. Okay, so it's interesting to know how companies formulate their mission statements, so I would like you to do just that. And now the second step in our strategic management process is doing an external analysis. And of course, the third step is going to be an internal analysis. So external means something outside the organization. So the business environment within which this organization is operating. So we talk about the industry, we talk about the market, we talk about the economy, we talk about, all of those components that exist outside of the organization. So there's something called SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So in steps 2 and 3, this is exactly what we are doing. We are doing a SWOT analysis. So in the SWOT analysis, those opportunities and threats, the O and the T, they exist where? They exist in the external business environment. Okay, because opportunities are available outside of the organization. Opportunities of like what new customers can we target? What kind of new products maybe can we offer to them? Is there any special circumstances in the economy that we can take advantage of? And also threats. So we talk about, political situations, we talk about, competitors and rivalry and so on. So we have in step number 1 already, identified our organization's mission, our organization's goals, our organization's strategies. And now in step number 2, we are examining the external environment of the business. قاعدين نشوف الصناعة، قاعدين نشوف البيئة اللي الشركة هذه قاعدة تشتغل فيها، قاعدين نشوف ايش الفرص الopportunities وايش التهديدات الثريتس اللي موجودة في بيئة الأعمال اللي تشتغل فيها هذه الشركة. Okay. And now in step number 3, we are doing an internal analysis. So we are analyzing the inside of our organizations. So basically we are taking a look at our resources, our capabilities, and our core competencies. Okay, so in here we are definitely going to examine strengths and weaknesses. نرجع للجزئيتين الناقصة من SWOT analysis. So what are the resources that are available to our organizations? So basically, what assets do we have? What what can we develop what can we use to develop our products and services and deliver them to our customers? So what what things do we own that we can use in order to make money, that we can use in order to serve our customers? So these are the resources, الموارد اللي عند الشركة. So الموارد ممكن تكون موارد بشرية, human resources. So employees are also resources. Can be financial resources. كم الميزانية اللي عندنا. It could be a lot of a lot of things. So we have to examine, we have to analyze things internally. So we have to take a look at what resources are available to us. And then we also have to look at our capabilities. So what can we do? What skills and abilities do we have in our organization? داخل الشركة إيش المهارات والقدرات اللي عندنا? What can we do to meet our business targets and meet our business needs? إيش المهارات والقدرات اللي عندنا؟ إيش الشغلات المميزة اللي عندنا اللي تميزنا عن الآخرين? And then we also have to take a look at our core competencies. So this is a very important word that you need to understand. What is a competency? What is a competency? So a competency is basically like a core skill or ability that generates value, okay? That creates value and adds value for your organization. So we have to take a look at what exactly do we have and possess within our organization that can make us compete with others, that can make us unique from others. So this is the third step. So this is what we do whenever we are analyzing things internally. We are taking a look at our organization. ايش الموارد اللي متوفرة عندنا؟ ايش القدرات اللي متوفرة عندنا؟ وكذلك ايش الجدارات, competencies that are available within our organization that we can use, that we can maximize on in order for us to compete, in order for us to use in our business model, and so on. And here we have the remaining two parts of our SWOT analysis. So we discussed opportunities and threats in the external analysis. So strengths and weaknesses take place within the internal analysis because we are taking a look at our organization's resources, capabilities, core competencies, and so on. So strengths in terms of what resources do we have? What makes us, better than our competitors? And then the weaknesses are also the same in terms of like what obstacles do we have within our organization. So do we have enough resources, or do we have enough money? Do we have enough employees, and do we have skilled employees that can help us achieve our goals and implement our strategies? So the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, is a very important concept that you will study in much greater detail in a lot of other courses, but you have to be familiar with it at this stage. So what does it mean, and when does it take place? And now we reach step number 4, and that is formulating strategies. الآن بعد ما نظرنا إلى الميشن ستيتمنت حق الشركة، بعد ما سوينا تحليل داخلي وتحليل خارجي, only now we can formulate strategies. الآن نقدر نسوي هذه الاستراتيجيات ونختار. Okay? So basically we have 3 main types of strategies. So we have corporate, competitive, and functional. Corporate level strategies, competitive strategies, and functional strategies. These are discussed in detail in future slides, okay? But basically in the step, so this step comes after we have analyzed our internal resources, after we have analyzed our external environments, and after we have identified our philosophy and our goals and targets. So only now we can select what strategies we will use. زي فريق كرة القدم الآن بعد ما عرف إيش قدرات اللاعبين اللي عنده، إيش اللي يخليه مميز عن الفرق الأخرى، إيش فلسفة اللعب في الفريق هذا، الآن يقدر يختار الاستراتيجية المناسبة للهجوم أو للدفاع أو لكسب المباريات. Okay, so three levels of strategies: corporate, competitive, and functional. These are discussed, one by one in coming slides. And now step number 5 is implementation or execution of those strategies. الآن بنيت الاستراتيجية، الآن جاء وقت التنفيذ. So now the implementation of the strategy is of course very important because you can spend a lot of time, you could put a lot of thought and a lot of efforts and resources in thinking about your strategy and building it. But when it comes time to executing it, you make some horrible mistakes that basically undermine all your efforts. So regardless of how much time you spend on planning your strategy and selecting it and building it, but you have to also be very careful when it comes to how you execute it, how you put it to action. Okay, so it has to be implemented properly, otherwise ضيعت جهود وضيعت مجهود، يعني وقت ومصادر كثيرة جدا. So implementation of the strategy is really critical. Even though you have put a lot of time and effort when it comes to planning and selecting your strategy, you have to also be as careful when it comes to how do you execute and how do you implement your strategy. And as is the case for all management processes, it doesn't end when we execute. We also have to go back and evaluate. Okay, so كل العمليات اللي عندنا وكل الشغلات اللي عندنا في الإدارة بمجرد إنه إحنا نفذناها، وحتى لو نفذناها بنجاح, it doesn't mean that it ends there. The cycle goes back and continues. We have to evaluate, we have to measure, we have to assess our success. So what was what was good about it, what was not good, how can we improve? Even if we did everything correctly and we got some excellent results, we have to understand what exactly did we do right so that we can do it again, so that we can maximize on it. Okay, so how effective, you have to ask yourself questions like, what was effective, how were they effective at helping the organization achieve their goals, what adjustments do we need? So if the strategy wasn't very much successful, so what can we do, what changes do we need to implement, what kind of corrective actions do we need to take so that we can address this issue? So you always have to assess, you have to evaluate. لازم يصير في تقييم في النهاية، لازم تعرف انت بالضبط what exactly did you do right, what did you do wrong, so you can improve and you can avoid mistakes in the future. So here is an exhibit that illustrates the types of strategies that we have to formulate. So there's corporate level strategy, the biggest on the pyramid at the top. And then we have competitive strategies, and at the end we have functional. So as you can see, the corporate level is done at very high levels in the organization. And as we will see, this means that we have to make some very big decisions on what kind of business are we going to be in even. And then the competitive level strategy is about how are we going to compete with others in the market. And then the functional strategies are about each and every function within the organization. So how can these departments, so the human resources, the finance department, the marketing department, what can they do? How can these functions within our organization help us achieve our targets? Okay. So the highest level of strategy is the corporate strategy, and in here we are trying to decide what are we going to do, what is our organization specializing in, what business are we going to be involved in. So هنا نقرر هل احنا هندخل عالم البتروكيماويات ولا حنصنع ملابس ولا حنسوي خدمات تعليمية ولا خدمات صحية. Okay, so this is a very big question. So now you have all the resources and everything, so that's a very big question of what business a company is in or wants to be in. Okay, and then what it wants to do with those businesses, how this organization is going to manage that business, how is it going to make money off of that business, and so on. So that's the corporate strategy. This is when the big managers, we talk about the CEOs, we talk about the board of directors, we talk about مجلس الإدارة، المساهمين، ملاك الشركة. So هذول الناس اللي يقررون بشكل عام كذا ال corporate strategy. Okay, so what business the organization is going to be in. So we are going to examine three types of corporate strategies. The first one is called a growth strategy. Growth, when you are growing something, you are making it bigger. So basically, in a growth strategy, we are trying to see how can we expand the number of markets that we serve. Okay, so a growth strategy is how an organization expands the number of markets they are serving, either through the current business or through new businesses. So in here we are deciding we want to become bigger. So how do we become bigger? Do we focus on our current products and services and try to market them in a different way, or do we create a new business? Do we target new markets? So in a growth strategy, we also have a number of different options. So we can go with concentration. When you concentrate on something, you focus on it. So a concentration growth strategy means that we are going to focus on our existing products and services and try to gain more market share. Okay, this is very important, ya shabab. You have to learn all of those different varieties of strategies. There have been a lot of questions in the past in exams about them. This is why I told you cannot just suffice with the slides. You also have to go back to the textbook. Okay, so these are explained thoroughly in the textbook. I'll mention a couple of examples here. So concentration growth strategy is when you focus on your current products and services and try to gain more market share. One very good example of this is McDonald's. مطعم ماكدونالدز يبدو لي انه يستعمل الكونسنتريشن جروث استراتيجي لانه يعني يستعمل الكرنت برودكتس اللي عنده، المنتجات اللي يسويها سندوتشات والوجبات اللي يسويها ماكدونالدز هي نفسها من سنوات طويلة جدا، يعني تغيرت بشكل بسيط. لكن ايش يسوي ماكدونالدز؟ هو مركز عليها ويحاول انه يقتحم السوق بطريقة اكبر وانه ياخذ حصة اكبر من السوق، ماركت شير. اوكي، نفس الحكاية بالنسبة لي ستاربكس مثلا. ستاربكس نفس الحكاية، ركزوا على their existing products, okay, and they are trying to market them better and they are trying to get more market share. So that's your concentration growth strategy. And then another variety of this is what is called the vertical integration strategy. So vertical means up and down. So vertical معناها عمودي. Okay, so you will see in the textbook that we have backward vertical integration and we also have forward vertical integration. So in backward we are going back, so we are going back in our supply chain cycle, so we become our own supplier. So that's your backward vertical integration strategy. What does that mean? So you become your own supplier, basically. You develop your own raw materials in order to make your products. الآن شركة سابك تصنع بتروكيماويات. إيش المواد الخام اللي تستعملها حتى تصنع البتروكيماويات هذه؟ تجيب غاز من شركة أرامكو. أوكي؟ فاللي حيحصل الآن إنه when we, as an example of backward vertical integration, سابك بدل ما تشتري المواد الخام هذه من أرامكو صارت هم صاروا جزء من شركة واحدة. الآن أرامكو اشترت سابك، فصارت سابك is its own supplier. صارت أنا ما عاد أشتري المواد الخام من شركة خارجية، أنا أصنع المواد الخام وأستعمل المواد الخام هذه في صناعة منتجات أخرى. Okay, so that's your backward vertical integration. Let's talk about forward. So when we talk about forward vertical integration, you basically become your own distributor. So الآن سابك صنعت البتروكيماويات هذه، طيب شلون توصلها لزباينها؟ زباينها اللي في الصين واللي في أستراليا واللي في أمريكا وفي كل مكان، تستعمل شركات نقل، شركات شحن معينة وتوصلها للزباين. أوكي، تستعمل موزعين. فاللي حيحصل اللي مثلا ممكن يحصل when we are using forward vertical integration إنه أنا نفسي يا سابك أنا بنفسي حوصل البضاعة حقتي لزبايني. اوكي، سو بدل ما استعمل شركة نقل او شركة شحن، انا حسوي لي شركة نقل او شركة شحن وانا اوصل بضاعتي بنفسي. Okay, so this is why we said that this is a very high level kind of strategy that needs to be thought of at high levels of the organization. We talk about the board of directors, we talk about the owners and the investors of the organization. أسئلة كبيرة جدا، يعني قرارات زي كذا ما يتخذها فقط مدير واحد أو شيء، هذه تغييرات جوهرية يسموها، لازم تتخذ من قبل ملاك الشركة أو مجلس الإدارة and so on. And another option here is the horizontal integration. Horizontal معناها أفقي وليس عمودي زي ال vertical integration. So in the horizontal integration we are basically combining with our competitors. Okay, so the horizontal integration growth strategy is when we decide that we are going to collaborate with our competitors in the industry. حصل مثلا عندنا في الجبيل شركة الصحراء للبتروكيماويات اندمجت مع شركة سبكم وأصبحوا شركة واحدة. كان مثلا حصة شركة الصحراء من السوق فقط 5% وحصة شركة سبكم فقط 5%. الآن لما اندمجنا وصرنا شركة واحدة صرنا إحنا نملك 10% من السوق. And now it means that we are more competitive and maybe we became even bigger than other companies. صرنا شركة أكبر من شركة التصنيع، صرنا شركة أكبر من شركة الفارابي and so on. Okay, so horizontal integration is basically when you combine with your own customers, you collaborate with them. Sorry, with your own competitors, منافسين. وأخيرا diversification. When you say about something that it is diverse, it means that it consists of multiple, it has a variety of things. So when you use diversification growth strategies, remember we are still talking about growth strategies. We are trying to make our business bigger. We are trying to expand our business. How can we expand this business? How can we grow it? Well, either by concentrating on our existing products and trying to gain more market share, or by doing some vertical integration, so and backward ولا forward, or by merging with our competitors, وأخيرا diversification by offering diversified products or services. So in this case we are, as the textbook mentions, we have also related diversification and unrelated diversification. In the related diversification we are offering more products, we are offering a variety of products, but they are still related to our main product or service. يعني احنا نبيع جوالات، المنتج حقنا الأساسي جوالات. When we want to diversify نبغى ننوع شوية في المنتجات اللي عندنا، ممكن نستعمل related diversification، شغلة لها علاقة بالجوالات. نبدأ نجيب مثلا شاشات حماية، نبدأ نجيب اكسسوارات جوالات، نبدأ نجيب سماعات، نبدأ نجيب شواحن. They are still related to our main product. Unrelated diversification شغلة ما لها علاقة تماما. تتفاجأ لما تدخل بعض المحلات في الأسواق الشعبية في الجبيل البلد، مثلا في الدمام في غيره، محل يبيع جوالات ويبيع ترامس ويبيع كشافات ويبيع مقصات أظافر ويبيع ساعات يد. Okay, so that's unrelated diversification. Okay, so let's sum up. So growth strategies are strategies of how the company wants to expand its business. عندنا a lot of options we can use to concentrate. We can use vertical integration by becoming our own supplier or our own distributor. We can do horizontal integration by merging with our competitors, and we can offer a more variety of products and services by diversifying our portfolio of products and services سواء كانت related or unrelated. And now we continue with our corporate strategies. So the first type of corporate strategies that we have already discussed was growth strategies. في الgrowth strategies كان عندنا خيارات كثيرة متنوعة. Now the second type of corporate strategies is what is called a stability strategy. معنى stability, when you describe something as being stable, it means it is not, characterized by a lot of change. Stable meaning it does not change often. So it is basically when an organization just keeps on doing what it's currently doing and it's serving it very well. بعض الشركات يقول we don't want to shake things up. Everything is going well for us. We are still competitive. We are gaining profits and we don't want to change anything. So they are using a stability strategy. On the other hand, a renewal strategy, when you renew something, you make it newer. So this is when an organization is trying to address declining performance. So this is when the performance is dropping, it's going down, and we have in our organization to do something about it. Okay? Sometimes it's just a short-term kind of thing where we just make small changes and everything goes back to normal. But sometimes it is, the declining is very steep, and it means that we have to use a lot more drastic measures in order to address that declining performance. So the renewal strategy is what you do when you are trying to improve your organization's performance. You are already suffering. So sometimes this suffering can be minimal. You do small changes and things go back to being okay. And sometimes things are very bad and you need to do, more drastic things in order to make sure that the business does not, entirely goes bankrupt or loses everything. So this is a nice slide presenting to us what can we do in order to manage these corporate strategies. So how exactly can we choose? Do we go with vertical integration? Do we go with new products? Do we go with our existing products and so on? So there's a nice tool developed by what is called Boston Consulting Group. عشان كده جاء الاختصار BCG, Boston Consulting Group. They have developed a matrix, which is basically a tool that guides resource allocation on the basis of market share. So they have, categorized products based on their investment and their market share. So how much money do you spend on them to develop them, and how much money do they generate for you? وبناء على هذه البعدين based on those two dimensions, they have categorized products into 4 different categories. So they have stars, cash cows, question marks, and dogs. You do not have to worry about that. This is highly specialized. This is an excellent, additional reading material for you guys if you are interested. You are probably going to see this in a lot of other courses, especially marketing courses. But at this stage, you have to understand something. You have to understand that we have a lot of tools and a lot of ways that have been developed in order for managers to do a better job. One of them is this Boston Consulting Group matrix, this BCG matrix, which can give you some guidance on what can you do. So I want you to understand that strategic management is not something that is done on a gut feeling. ما هي بس بالإحساس كده وبالعفرة وبالخبرة فقط. You have tools that you can use. You have resources at your disposal which you can use in order to make the right decision. So this is why you need to study about these things as a manager. You need to expand your horizons. You need to, have a more exposure about the available, theories and tools and different options that you can utilize so that you can make sure that you are making the right decision for your organization. Now, moving on to the second level of strategies, and that is competitive strategies. So we have discussed now corporate strategies, ones that are done at very high levels at the organization. It talks about big picture questions. It talks about what businesses even are we going to be involved in. But we go down a bit to talk about competitive strategies. So from the name itself, competitive comes from competition. So how are we going to compete? How are we going to compete with others in the market, with others in the same industry? Okay, so what kind of strategy are we going to use in order for us to be more successful than our competitors? So in here we have an important concept, important term that we need to first of all go through. So SBU, Strategic Business Unit. You will see this in a lot of materials that you go through whenever you are reading about an organization. لما تدور أحيانا حتى على إعلانات وظيفية هتحصل إنه الشخص هذا مطلوب منه إنه يسوي تحليل لل SBUs. So now you have to understand what this acronym stands for. What does it mean? So a strategic business unit is a single independent business of an organization that formulate their own competitive strategies. Let's break it down. So in a huge company like, let's say, Apple, okay, they offer a lot of different they offer different products. So they have their iPhone, they have their iPad, they have their let's say AirPods, they have their MacBooks, their laptops. So each one of those is considered a strategic business unit. Okay, so one unit, one group of people that whose only job is to work on the iPhone. شغلتهم فقط كيف نحسن الايفون هذا، كيف نسوق الايفون هذا، مين هم منافسين الايفون، كيف نتغلب على المنافسين and so on. Another group who's only responsible for just analyzing, let's say, the iPad, tablets. مين الناس اللي منافسين عندنا في موضوع التابلتس، كيف احنا نخلي التابلت حقنا احسن من غيرنا، كيف نطوره، كيف نسعره and so on. So strategic business units are those single independent مستقلة single independent business units that make their own competitive strategies. So how do we compete in each and every one of those different units? So of course, since we are talking about competitive strategies, we have to talk about a competitive advantage. So a competitive advantage is basically what sets you apart from your competitors, what makes you unique to competitors, what is your major thing that makes you different than competitors in the market or in the industry. Okay, so if you want to decide on how are you going to compete with others in the industry, you have to first of all realize and maximize on your competitive advantage. So you have to understand it first. ايش هي الميزة التنافسية اللي عندي؟ ليش الناس تجيني انا ما تروح للمنافسين؟ Okay? So you can use this when it comes to marketing your products and services. You can use this when it comes to developing your products and services, improving them, making them better. So you utilize your competitive advantage as a means of growing your business and growing your market share. Okay, so sometimes your competitive advantage is your customer service. صح ولا لا؟ ايش اللي يخلي الناس مثلا تقول لك انا مستعد اروح اشتري جوالات من جرير بس ما اشتريها من اكسترا؟ ليش تشتريها من جرير؟ يقول يا اخي خدمة العملاء في جرير احسن. So you would go and buy products from جرير فقط لأنه الكاستمر سيرفيس عندهم أحسن. It could be prices. It could be a lot of things. So we will see some options in the coming slide. So a competitive advantage is what sets you apart from your competitors. What makes you unique than your competitors? What is the one thing, the one major thing that you offer differently to your customers? So competitive advantage can have a variety of different things. One of them could be your quality. So the quality of the products or services that you offer. لما تيجي تسوق حتى منتجاتك تقول صح أنا أسعاري أغلى من غيري ولكن الجودة عندي عالية جدا. منتجاتي ما تخرب زي زبايني زي منافسيني. So this could be one competitive advantage that you maximize on the quality of your products and services. Another thing is what is called design thinking. التفكير التصميمي في دورات كثيرة الآن تعطى في هذا المجال. And this is an important concept not only in marketing, not only in designing products and services, but in all types of tasks. So design thinking is basically when you think of the customer when you are designing your products and services. مثال بسيط جدا على مستوى جدا طفيف. لاحظوا بعض الصرافات الاي تي ام ماشينز حقت السيارات تجي احيانا بسيارتك تبغى تسحب فلوس تحصل الصرافه مره مرتفعه. انت سيارتك عاديه سيدان كامري ولا غيرها تحصلها مره مرتفعه كانه اللي صمم الصراف هذا يعني اعتقد انه كل اللي حيجوا معاهم بيك اب تراكس ولا معاهم لاند كروزرز و4 باي 4 واحيانا يكون العكس. تجي بسيارتك البيك اب ولا الجيب وتحصلها مره منخفضه الصرافه وكانه الشخص اللي فكر في التصميم الصرافه هذه فكر انه فقط حيكون سيارات صغيره هي اللي حتجي. So they did not think about the user, about the end user, about the customer, about the beneficiary from those products and services. So design thinking is really a competitive advantage. So when you design a product or a service أو بيت أو أي شيء, you have to think about the user, you have to think about the customer first. And then social media. So كيف صارت السوشيال ميديا competitive advantage؟ كثير شركات الآن بل جهات حكومية عندنا في المملكة صارت السوشيال ميديا عندهم يعني شيء أساسي. حتى صدر قرار قبل فترة إنه أي جهة حكومية يردها استفسار عبر تويتر لابد ترد عليه في 24 ساعة. انت ليش why is social media considered now a competitive advantage؟ انت ممكن تسوق نفسك انه انا شركتي متوفرة يعني available on social media and I can answer all your questions instantaneously. مجرد ان انت تسأل السؤال على تويتر ولا على انستغرام ولا على اي واحدة من منصات التواصل الاجتماعي I will respond, meaning you have access to me anytime you want. So, and of course when you utilize social, and people nowadays they are very attached to social media. They want they want to have some sort of influence, some sort of presence in the social media world. فتحصل بعض الشركات كيف تسوق مثلا بضاعتها ومنتجاتها وخدماتها انه اذا اشتريت منتجنا او سوي لنا منشن في الهاشتاج ممكن تحصل على جائزة ممكن تحصل على كذا. So of course customer service, social media, it's all about accessibility, it's all about serving your customers and making sure that you deliver something to them that they enjoy and that they desire. So a big question in the concept of competitive advantage is that how do you sustain it? How can you keep it? How can you make sure that you hold on to your competitive advantage? And one of the most popular concepts used in the business world is what is called Porter's Five Forces model. You have probably seen this in economics and in other courses. It's a very popular theory or tool that you can use to analyze things in your business environment, and you can use this analysis to make a decision about your competitive advantage. So the first force that Porter discusses is threat of new entrants. Threat of new entrants. So basically, you ask yourself this question: how easy it is to start a business that is similar to mine? How easy it is to start a business that is similar to mine. ايش مدى سهولة انه شخص يفتح نفس البزنس حقك؟ انت البزنس حقك فود تراك، سهل جدا انه اي واحد يفتح فود تراك. انت البزنس حقك والله سبيشالتي كوفي، سهل جدا انه اي واحد يفتح سبيشالتي كوفي. So you have to analyze this factor, like when it comes to entering this business, how easy it is. So you have to make sure that you factor in that risk, factor in that threat. Okay, so and some have decided to enter aslan into businesses that are very difficult to imitate. يعني سوق الجوالات مثلا، سوق صناعة الجوالات وليس فقط بيعها، صعب جدا انه لازم يكون عندك براءة اختراع، لازم يكون عندك يعني حتى امور قانونية معينة. So that's a very difficult business to enter into. So something to keep in mind. And the other force is the threat of substitutes. So are there any products or services that can replace mine? Can people use something else instead of my products or services؟ يعني نتكلم على سوق المواصلات العامة مثلا، أنا أقدر أروح من الجبيل إلى جدة، ممكن أروح عن طريق الطيارة، الخيار الأفضل يعني بالنسبة لي. واحد ثاني يقول لك لا أنا ممكن أستعمل الباص، واحد ثاني ممكن يقول لك أنا أستعمل سيارتي الخاصة، يقول لك أنا أستعمل أوبر يعني other means. So substitutes. Okay. الآن عندنا مثلا لعل بعضكم اللي يتابع الأخبار، إحنا شركة أرامكو عندنا في صناعة النفط، النفط العادي المستخرج من باطن الأرض. واحدة من الثريتس اللي موجودة اللي هو اللي يسموه النفط الصخري اللي يستخرج من أمريكا. So this is a substitute threat that Aramco has to pay attention to. And then the bargaining power of buyers. So another force by Porter is the bargaining power of buyers, of customers. So up to how much can customers influence prices? Bargaining التفاوض. Okay. إلى أي مدى ممكن يتفاوضون على الأسعار ويأثرون عليها؟ The same thing applies to suppliers، لأنه أنت كل المواد اللي أنت تصنعها واللي أنت تبيعها أنت أصلا أكيد اشتريتها من موردين، ناس وردوا لك المواد الخام اللي تستعملها أنت في صناعة منتجاتك. فأجان إذا هذولا عندهم bargaining power، عندهم قدرة كبيرة جدا على التفاوض في الأسعار وأنهم يأثرون على الأسعار، أنت تكلفتك راح تزيد، لأنه أنت كنت تشتري منهم المواد الخام 5 ريال للمتر، لو قال لك ابتداء من بكره ما راح ابيعك اياها بضعف السعر، طيب معناته انت كيف حتبيع منتجاتك الان على زباينك؟ The same thing applies for customers as well. اذا هم they can influence prices، انت تجي تقول لهم هذا سعر السياره 50,000 ريال، يقول لك لا ما راح ندفع لك الا 30,000، وهذا الموجود تبغى ولا بكيفك. So there are certain markets and certain economies where buyers and suppliers do have a lot of bargaining power, depending on the market, depending on the political situation sometimes, depending on the nature of the business. وأخيرا, what is called current rivalry. So how intense is the competition? How intense is the competition? So you have to analyze these forces so that you can come up with a way in order to sustain, to keep your competitive advantage. You have to see how easy it is to start a business that is similar to mine. You have to see what kind of other products and services that can substitute the things that I'm offering for my customers. You need to analyze what power do buyers and suppliers have when it comes to influencing prices, and finally how intense and how big is the competition between you and others in the industry. So now let's take a look at the different options of competitive strategies. So how can this be put to action? So one variety of competitive strategies of how you can compete with others is using a cost leadership strategy. Cost leadership means that you are doing everything you can to reduce your costs, not your prices, but your costs. Okay, so you are putting a lot of efforts in when it comes to lowering how much you pay on rent, how much you pay on production, how much you pay on, the development of those products and services. The idea here is that when you reduce your costs, you improve your profit margin. الآن منتج معين يكلفك صناعته 10 ريال وانت تبيعه ب50 ريال. لو ما تقدر ترفع الأسعار لأنه راح يعني تنفر بعض الزبائن، لكن انت تقدر تحاول انه انت ايش تخفض التكاليف، فبدل ما يكلفك 10 ريال خليه يكلفك 5 ريال، فالآن ارتفع ايش هامش الربح اللي عندك، البروفيت مارجن. So that's the idea behind cost leadership. This is how you compete with others in the market. Okay, you try to reduce your costs so that even if you sell it for less money than your competitors, you are still making profits. اللي حاصل الآن مثلا في أسواق النفط وغيره، المملكة العربية السعودية تكلفة إنتاج النفط عندنا من الأقل إن لم يكن الأقل على مستوى العالم، فبالتالي حتى لو انباع برميل النفط فقط ب$10 ما زلنا احنا we are still making profit because of cost leadership. The cost to produce these products is very low. So now we can lower our prices and still make profits, and this is how we compete with others in the market. Another competitive strategy is what is called the differentiation strategy. From the word itself, differentiation meaning you are offering unique things, something that is very different from your competitors that you are offering to your customers, to your buyers. Okay? حاجة مختلفة تماما. حاجة أصلا المنافسين ما يقدرون يقلدونها، إما بسبب قانوني مثلا براءة اختراع أو غيره، أو أنت you have put a lot of thought into this. So this is when you offer something that is very unique to your customers. The third one is called a focus strategy. Again, from the name itself, you focus either your cost or your product line on a very what is called niche market, very narrow market. So let's take an example. شركة تأمين مثلا تقول أنا ما أسوي تأمين سيارات ولا أسوي تأمين مباني، أنا فقط أسوي تأمين على السفن التجارية. They are focusing their strategy by being, by being very narrow when it comes to what market segment they are targeting. Okay, they are targeting a very specific group of people who have very specific types of needs. So that's your focus strategy. الأخيرة اللي اسمها stuck in the middle. صديقنا بورتر من السلايد الماضي قال this is not a situation that you want to find yourself in. You do not want to find yourself stuck in the middle, meaning you do not want to be in a situation where you cannot compete with a cost leader in the market, and you cannot also offer something that is different from your competitors. So this is a problem. ما تقدر تنافس الشركة اللي قاعدة تنزل في تكاليفها، انت ستيل يعني عندك اعتبارات معينة ما تقدر تنزل من تكاليفك، ما تقدر تخفض من اسعارك، وفي نفس الوقت ما عندك القدرة انه انت تعرض منتجات مختلفة تماما، حاجة يعني مميزة جدا عن منافسينك. So you are now stuck in the middle. You cannot do cost leadership, you cannot do differentiation. So that's a big problem. This is not a good situation. Okay? So when it comes to choosing a competitive strategy, as you can see, there are a number of options. Each and every one of them has its own considerations. Each and every one of them has their own advantages and disadvantages. So this is a big decision because it's a strategy. So a big decision that must be made by the decision makers in the organization. And now we reach the third level of strategies, and that is functional strategies. So we have already discussed the one at the very top, which was corporate strategies. And then we have discussed competitive strategies. And now let's talk a little about functional strategies. From the name itself, functional, it's all about the function. Those, let's call them departments within your organization. What is their contribution to the overall competitive strategy, to the overall corporate strategy in the organization. Okay, so الآن احنا اخترنا إنه cost leadership for example. This is the competitive strategy that we are going to use in our company so that we can make money. طيب الآن إيش دور إدارة الموارد البشرية في الموضوع؟ إيش دور الإدارة المالية في الموضوع؟ إيش دور إدارة التسويق في الموضوع؟ كيف يساهمون هذه الإدارات في تحقيق الاستراتيجية هذه؟ Okay? When we talk about human resources, for example, they are the ones in charge of training. They are the ones in charge of, increasing awareness. The finance people, هم الناس اللي عندهم الفلوس. So they have a very major role in when it comes to, cost leadership strategy. They are going to tell us and advise us how can we reduce our costs. Okay? The human resources people are going to also train our employees on, different practices of how can they minimize costs and so on. إذا كانت ال competitive strategy حقتنا إنه إحنا ال customer service حقنا we have to improve it. So of course the human resources people are the ones who are going to train our employees so that they can increase their awareness about, that this is a very big part of who we are as an organization. And of course the marketing people, how are they going to brand our products, our services, our organization and so on. فكيف نزلت تطبيق الاستراتيجية هذه من رئيس الشركة ومساهمين الشركة وملاك الشركة إلى الوحدات اللي تحت إلى الإدارات الصغيرة؟ إيش دور كل إدارة وكل قسم في تنفيذ وفي تحقيق وإنجاح الاستراتيجية هذه. Okay, so that's our functional strategy, the strategy used by each and every department and their contribution to making our competitive strategies a success. As we get closer to ending our chapter, we have to talk a little about what is called strategic leadership. Okay, strategic leadership. In the world of today's business, everything is so competitive, everything is changing constantly. Innovation and creativity are the building blocks of today's businesses. So we need to have decision makers and we need to have, policies in place that emphasize the strategic decision making within organizations. Basically, we have to have a way in our organization. We have to have that mentality. We have to have that, thinking within our organization so that we can, not only become reactors to change, but we can initiate it. We can anticipate it. We can, deal with it when it happens. So this is why we need to have this, notion of strategic leadership. Everything is changing constantly. Everything is changing rapidly. And sometimes some of those changes are drastic. فإذا ما حسبنا حساب بعض الأشياء هذه غالبا we will not survive in the market. Okay? So an organization must have ways of, making sure that whenever something happens, we can address it. So we have to have practices in place. We have to have, policies. We have to have certain, values and principles and ways of doing things in our organization so that we know how to handle such problems. So we need to anticipate, we need to maintain, and we need to make sure that we can initiate change and not only react to it. So that's the concept of strategic leadership. This is why we need our managers and our decision makers to think strategically, to think about the future, to think about the different, consequences of different actions. And this is a nice illustration that summarizes what we mean by effective strategic leadership. Okay, so we have to determine the organization's purpose or vision. We have to exploit or take advantage of our organization's competencies. We have to develop our human capital. We have to develop our human resources. We have to develop the skills and the talents of our people. لأنه الشركات من غير موظفينها ما تقدر تسوي أي حاجة. الموظفين هم الركيزة الأساسية في كل الاستراتيجيات هذه. So you have to have policies in place that address, the development of your people. You have to create and sustain good culture. Remember in the previous chapter we talked about the importance of an organization's culture. So sometimes when it comes to the execution of a strategy يحصل تصادم ما بين الاستراتيجية اللي انت تبغى تستعملها وما بين الكلتشر اللي موجود في الشركة، فهذه ما تدعم هذه، فبالتالي النتيجة تكون الفشل. So you have to develop a strong culture that is supportive of your strategies. Remember, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Then you have to create and maintain organizational relationships. You have to ensure that those different business functions, those different units, even your different affiliates, they have open lines of communication that encourage people to share the knowledge and the ideas that they have. You have to reframe prevailing views by asking penetrating questions and questioning assumptions. What this means is that you do not just take things as they are. You always have to question why. Why are we doing this? Who said that we need to do this? Based on what? So we are talking about decision makers here. مو بس انه خلاص هذا ما وجدنا عليه آباءنا وانتهى الموضوع. You have to go back and question things. Why did we choose this strategy in the first place? How is this helping our organization become successful? And then you have to emphasize ethical practices. في النهاية كل هذه الأمور الحقيقة ما لها قيمة إذا ما كانت أخلاقيات المهنة وأخلاقيات العمل متبعة بشكل جيد. If ethics are not being practiced, then all of this is just going down the drain. Okay? And then finally you have to establish balanced organizational controls. إنه ما يكون كل الصلاحيات والسلطة في يد يعني جهة معينة أو شخص واحد فقط في الشركة. لازم يكون في طريقة أن السلطات هذه موزعة، الصلاحيات هذه موزعة بشكل متوازن. So that when we make decisions, so a decision is not only one person's problem. It's not one person's opinion. It's the collaborative opinion of more than one person, of more than one group. Okay, so this is why we need strategic leadership. Because the business environment is changing, is evolving, and we need to be able to address these changes in a strategic manner so that things are institutional. ما هو بس انه حصلت حاجة لازم يكون عندنا ردة فعل. لا، احنا عندنا طريقة معينة متبعة انه كيف لما يحصل مشكلة كيف نحلها. So that's effective strategic leadership. And since we are talking about strategic leadership, we also have to talk about flexibility. Yes, we have to have plans. Yes, we have to commit to those plans. Yes, we have to commit to our practices, to our philosophies and everything. Still, you have to have certain levels of flexibility so that you can quickly react to problems. Okay? So that's the importance of flexibility. نعم لازم نكون ملتزمين بالسياسات اللي احنا وضعناها، ولكن لازم في نفس الوقت يكون عندنا مرونة كافية انه احنا ممكن نحيد شوية عن الخطة، نحيد شوية عن الممارسات اللي احنا ألزمنا أنفسنا فيها، مقابل انه احنا يعني ننجح في الاستجابة لتغير معين. Okay, so that's the need for strategic flexibility. We have to have the ability to recognize what is going on, to pay attention to those changes, and quickly assign and allocate resources so that we can address those situations and conquer those mistakes. Okay, so that's strategic flexibility. لازم يكون في مرونة كافية so that we can react to certain changes. And now this nice table tells us how do we develop strategic flexibility. Some of the techniques that we can use is that we can encourage leadership units by making sure everyone is on the same page. Communication is extremely important. We have to make sure that everyone understands what we are doing and why we are doing it so that we can get them on board. We have to keep resources fluid. Okay, so that whenever we need to reallocate our resources, we can shift them around. We have to have the right mindset, the right mentality, so that we can explore and understand issues. We have to have an open mind. We have to have a critical, those critical thinking skills. We have to know what is happening with strategies currently being used. So, do we have evaluation measures؟ عندنا تقييمات، هل الاستراتيجيات هذه اللي استعملناها كانت أثبتت نجاحها ولا لا، وبنسبة كم؟ So you have to have evaluations. We have to encourage employees to be open about disclosing and sharing negative information. لازم نستفيد من الموظفين اللي عندنا في الشركة، وما نبغاهم بس يمدحونا، نبغاهم يدلونا على الأخطاء. لو عندهم اقتراحات، لو عندهم يعني مشاكل معينة، لازم نحن نسمع منهم، لازم نحن نعرف بالضبط because these are the people who are in the field. They face these situations every day, so their input should be highly valuable. We have to get new ideas and perspectives from outside the organizations as well. So meaning that we have to, encourage our stakeholders. Remember, stakeholders. We have to encourage them to participate. We have to encourage them to tell us what can we do. أحيانا الشخص يعني يكون محلي جدا. لما تكون أنت داخل المكان ما تشوف أشياء بزاوية معينة، لازم تجيب أشخاص من برا عشان ينظروا للموضوع بزوايا مختلفة. You have to have multiple alternatives when making strategic decisions. ما يعني لازم يكون عندك سيناريو A سيناريو B. في حالة انه فشلت الاستراتيجية هذه، ايش الاستراتيجية الأخرى اللي أنا ممكن استعملها. And then you always have to learn from your mistakes. هنا يجي الايفالويشن. Okay, we made a mistake. We are prone to making mistakes, especially if the situation is novel, something that is very new. We never have experienced it before. So you have to learn from those mistakes. ما هو غلط ان انت تسوي mistake per se, but the problem is that when you repeat that mistake over and over again. Okay, so you have to learn from those mistakes. This is why you evaluate, so that you can avoid those mistakes in the future. And now we end up with this small discussion on some of the important organizational strategies for today's environment. So what makes the business environment today a little bit more different than it used to be? So one of the major trends nowadays is e-business. So without having strategies for doing e-business with your customers, nowadays you will probably not survive. كثير من الشركات الآن حتى اللي كانت عندها مجرد محلات تروح تشتري منها، الآن سوت مواقع بحيث انك انت تقدر تشتري منها. Okay, because everyone now is online and everyone wants that convenience. From the comfort of my own home, I could be in a class and I can just order things from souq.com ولا Amazon ولا غيره. Okay, so e-business strategies must be in place so that you can address today's customers' needs. Without having e-business, you will probably not be considered one of the options that customers would go to. كثير من الناس الآن لما يجي يشتري مثلا لما يجي بيفتح حساب في البنك، يسأل على خدمات البنك الأونلاين. كل شيء أقدر أسويه عن طريق التطبيق ولا بتقولوا لي لازم أجي الفرع؟ So it has become a major decision factor for customers. Okay, and then the part about customer service is definitely a huge one that definitely makes or breaks certain companies. كثير من الناس يقول لك أنا أعرف إن منتجات الشركة الفلانية أحسن، ولكن خدمة العملاء حقتهم سيئة جدا، أنا ما حختارها، أنا حروح مع ناس ثانيين حتى لو أسعارهم أغلى، لكن الكاستمر سيرفيس عندهم أفضل. So customer service is a huge deal breaker when it comes to remaining competitive in the market. You have to have excellent customer service. You have to think about putting the needs of the customers first. في واحد يقول لك بقى يا اخي البنك الفلاني يحسسك انك مليونير حتى وانت حسابك ما فيه الا 5 ريال. Why? Because the customer service agents there, they smile, they treat you with respect, they make you feel that you are important. على عكس بعض البنوك الثانية اللي تجيها من يوم ما يشوف حسابك انت طالب ما عندك المبالغ الكبيرة، على طول تتغير نبرة التعامل. So customer service is of great importance in today's business. And then innovation. Oh, this is a huge part nowadays. So innovation is all about, creativity. It's all about creating, and innovating new products that are not in the market at all. So you come up with something entirely new. Okay? So in here we talk, there's this notion of what is called a first mover. So this is when an organization is the first one to bring a product to the market. اوكي، اول شركه اخترعت منتج معين وجابته للسوق. اوكي، سوت حاجز او سيرفيس معين وقدمته لخدمه للزبائن. So a first mover is an organization that was the first to bring in a new product or a service into a market. Okay, so uh, there are advantages and disadvantages. So بعض الناس يقول لك هذا ممكن ما يكون شيء كويس لأنه الناس ما هي عارفة البرودكت الجديد هذا، ما عندها أي شيء تقارنه فيه, so no one is going to buy it. And others would tell you no, it's because new and unique and different people are going to buy it in huge quantities. So you have to consider, the pros and cons. And here you have them. Okay, so advantages and disadvantages of being a first mover, of having your organization bringing in a new product or a service into a market. So disadvantages is that there's a huge amount of uncertainty. ما نعرف ايش مدى تقبل الناس للمنتج الجديد هذا الغريب اللي اول مره يشوفوه. There's a lot of risk when it comes to imitating our innovation. Okay, ممكن كثير ناس يقلدون منتجنا هذا. Financial and strategic risks. اذا ما انباع البرودكت هذا من فين يعني كلفنا فيه كثير، من فين راح نعوض. And then high development costs. عشان انت تطور منتج جديد مختلف تماما اول مره يجي السوق، اكيد ان انت استثمرت فيه كثير. So that's a disadvantage. Okay, so there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a huge risk of being copied by your competitors, there's a lot of financial risks as well as development costs. Let's look at the advantages on the other hand. Reputation for being innovative and industry leader. راح تحصل على سمعة ممتازة جدا إنه الشركة الفلانية هذول مبدعين جدا، مبدعين ومبتكرين. Okay, so you could sometimes increase your market share. Who knows? You could improve on the benefits of your learning. So when you develop new products, you are basically developing the skills and the talents of your people. So you are improving and gaining some benefits when it comes to your human resources, when it comes to your employees, as they are learning something new. And as an organization, you also learn something new. And then, control over scarce resources and keeping competitors from having access to them. In this point, you are one of the advantages that you gain from being a first mover is that no one knows about this product. So your competitors, especially if you have a patent, especially إذا كان عندك براءة اختراع، صعب جدا انهم هم يعني يحصلوا على نفس الموارد اللي انت حصلت عليها عشان يطوروا نفس المنتج اللي انت طورته. So you have control over that part of the market. And then opportunity to begin building customer relationships and customer loyalty. This is an entire segment of new customers, an entire new market. So when you are the only provider for them, when you are the only provider of that product or service, you can build up relationships and you can gain their loyalty so that they would حتى لو في المستقبل أحد سوى منتج مشابه لك، راح دائما الناس تقول أنا راح أقعد مع الأصل، هذا الشركة هي اللي أول شركة جابت هذا المنتج, so I will stick with them. So a first mover strategy is when your organization becomes the first to bring in a new product or service in a new market, Of course, there are advantages, there are disadvantages. This is something that decision makers in the organization have to thoroughly think about. So this is the end of our chapter. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.